You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to Season 3 and episode number 187 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. Today, recording day is Wednesday, August 16th, 2023, and it's starting out gray and rainy here at the Beaver Lodge, but it's supposed to turn to sunshine later this afternoon. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver A, and with me as always is my dear friend, Mr. Grizzly. Of course, a big thank you goes to our podcast's founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. We have a Wednesday morning nibble for you, but before we do anything else, let's do the most important thing we do on every show. Say hello to you, Mr. Grizzly, and ask how's your mental health today.
Well, good morning, Mr. Beaver. Sorry, my mic was on mute there. I am physically in a lot of pain today, so the mental health is probably going to take a little bit of a beating as a result. Just, you know how, what was it? What's that joke I saw a couple of weeks ago? It was a guy goes in to see the doctor, says, "Doctor, I bumped my finger the other day and it's still hurting. That was like 3 days ago." He goes, "Yeah, that happens." He goes, but it's going to be like that forever? Yeah. Like forever? It's always going to hurt? He goes, "Yeah, that's pretty much how it is." He goes, "But old people, did they always feel like this? Like, are they always in pain?" He's like, "Why do you think they're so grumpy?" Effectively, I'm always going to be in pain. So I've accepted that fate.
Okay.
I don't care for it, but there we are. I'm always going to be in pain. Alas.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
You know, you put on, you take medication and you put on the you know, the heat or the deep, you know, the muscle relaxant thing. You focus on the good and try and get through it, but basically it's, yeah, you're going to hurt forever.
God, please delay the day. Please delay the day.
Well, it's nice and sunny here.
Yep.
Right now, so that lifts my spirits a bit. You can sort of see the sunshine over my shoulder.
Yes.
Streaming through the bedroom window. That's my bedroom.
Yeah, see it down the corner there. Good morning, Kit Ellen. Good morning, Kit Elaine. Good morning, Kit Jen. Good morning, Kit Dan. Good morning, Kit Grappling. Good morning, Kit Tavi G. Good morning, Kit Jillian. Lovely to see you all this morning with us. And Kit Linda M, of course. Good morning to you. I'm a little groggy because I must admit I stayed up later than usual, and I
Mm.
was it's empty now, but I was sipping on the Jesus juice last night
Yeah, I
because,
had a couple of glasses of wine.
yes, Jake, our pal Jake, is a very, very, very bad influence.
Were you on a show
Yes,
last
he
night?
had a twofer last night. Uh,
Oh,
I
that's
thought I
right.
was
Yeah.
going on the first one, and I was waiting there, and so I was like, "Yeah, no, you know what?" And he says in his intro, "By the way, Mr. Beaver, we got ourselves a restream, so hold on," because he didn't have it. So between the first and the second show, I guess they installed restream, and I went on. So we
Oh,
had a
okay.
good time. We had a lot of laughs and stuff, but yes, and of course that energized me right before bed. So I was for a little bit.
Yeah, that'll do it. Well, I'll have to check it out at some point
So,
today because I didn't I watched the baseball game last night. Sat in the pub, watched the baseball game, had a glass of wine. Bridget came and joined me for a bit, and then we came back to my place and sat up and talked for oh my goodness, I don't know how long, and then finally went to bed because it was late and I got to get up. So
so instead of the eager beaver, because that requires a lot of energy, you might have the toitus with poipus this morning.
okay, alrighty then. I'll sure. I don't quite know what that means, but yeah, all right. Yeah.
What was that movie Over the Head? No, no. Oh God, the movie with the sloth who's working at the DMV.
Oh yes, yeah.
Wanna hear a joke?
Yeah, yeah. I know what it is. I just can't remember what the name of the movie was, but it was pretty funny. Yeah, I did
Oh,
catch that.
oh man, oh
I
man.
did catch that. Yeah.
Um, just before we start, right now on the pitch, Australia is playing England in the semifinal of the Women's World Cup.
Who's winning?
Pardon? Australia versus
Who's winning? What's the score?
yeah, England is winning 1-0 at the moment at the 55 minute. Um, I'm still saying go Australia because, like I said on earlier, if we got eliminated earlier, either Nigeria or Australia has to win this whole damn thing. So Australia has been doing well so
Yeah, yeah.
far. Keep going. The goal was in the
Well,
36th minute.
whoever whoever wins, I'm going to be happy
Well,
for.
absolutely, yes.
I mean, honestly, because we're going to have a new world champion. So really, that's exciting to me. It's great for the sport.
Yep.
It helps to advance women's football because of the fact that it's not just the same three. You do realize until Spain won the World Cup, there'd only been 5 different nations who had won the World Cup in
Hmm.
men's football.
Yep. Yep.
5 until Spain. Spain was the 6th. World Cup, right? 6 champions in like almost 100
Yeah.
years.
Hey, apparently those who like the game love it a lot. They keep winning.
Well, in the World Cup of hockey, it was Canada for the longest time, so I understand, but the rest of the world's caught on.
Yeah.
So
Damn rest of the world. You were only supposed to catch on so much.
that's right.
You were only supposed to go so
That's right.
far.
Why are you taking our thing?
Yes, Zootopia was the movie. Thank you, kids. That indeed is
There you
it.
go.
Yes, Zootopia. All right. I have a few things, but nothing really pressing. I'm going to take a little bit of break on the Ford stuff today because we've been talking about him a lot. Although I did have an opportunity to listen to David Wallace on Dean's show the other day, and
Yeah, good.
well, number one, very good. But I noticed that within like the first 3 or 4 minutes, he referred to the premier as Premier Porky Pig.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder
He
if
did
he.
that.
I wonder if he heard that from us. Because I know he does watch the show from time
Yeah.
to time. Morning, Davis, if you're
Yes.
watching. David, if you're watching. We'd love to have you on sometime soon because look, we really want to hammer the hell out of Doug Ford on this, because I can't stand it. I mean, I don't mean as in I'm pissed off. I mean, is I cannot stand by and let this happen. We have to fight back and push back, and we have to have something done about this, because the corruption is. I mean, they're rubbing our faces
Mhm.
in it. I mean, we know we were corrupt, but we're not doing a damn thing about it. It's like,
Well, he basically
what?
said, "Yeah, I did it, and it's because we absolutely needed it. It was such urgent that we had to, like, break all the laws and the rules." And it's like, "No, you didn't." Like, no,
Yeah, we're
no,
building
it's like,
houses. We're
you
building
didn't
houses.
need to. You had land that was already approved, and where you're building, um, you're not planning to get shovels in the ground for a while yet. And like the regional planner in Durham said, it's going to take 25 years to make these lands build ready.
Viable, yeah. Like, Doug.
Come on,
Oh, Dougie,
come on,
Dougie,
man.
Dougie, Dougie,
Come
Dougie, Dougie. Come on.
on. Come on.
I
Come
do have a
on.
I do have a quick hit for
All
you
right.
though. A very quick one from our friend David
Mm-hmm.
Moskrop,
Mm-hmm.
because well, he's kind of punching down on Andrew Scheer,
Mm-hmm.
or punching up, I should say, punching up on Andrew Scheer, because Andrew Scheer went on the other day about media collusion. He's like, please help me, Andrew Scheer. This mainstream media collusion is out of control. To me, it's not a Canadian election until I've made a collage of 24 post media papers running identical endorsements.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Like, Andrew Scheer going off the other day because of the fact that Canadian Press, which is a wire service that sells news stories to 600 media outlets in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, this is a hit piece that's media collusion. Like I said, so much news. Where to begin?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's just so much.
But that's the thing, right? A news wire is now a
Mhm.
conspiracy, and they are losing their
because
ever-loving minds because,
they printed a story they didn't
well,
like.
not only they printed a story they didn't like, but they are pretending. Like Andrew Scheer put one out and said, "Oh yeah, it's just these 5 or 6 liberal news outlets, like us all coordinating." Yeah, you just said it.
Hmm.
5 or 6 liberal news outlets in a country with like 600.
Yeah, they sell it to 600 different
You're
places.
mad that 5 out of
5. Yeah.
600 right? And what we just saw, the O'Toole one, like you said, all those
Hmm.
things, right? You guys do the coordinated campaign thing all the time. Hi, remember when we did that episode on who Joe Walsh really is? Hi,
Hmm.
I'm just this grandma. I like to garden and bake cookies for my kids. Trudeau thinks I'm an extremist and I must be dealt with. Remember that campaign?
Hmm.
I was like, you guys are the masters of the coordination. It's like Pierre Poliver does
Yeah.
something, he carries CP24 carries it, and then it goes there for a day, and then the Sun Lily writes about it, and that makes Iveson write about it, which makes Coyne write about it, which makes
And Goldstein, and
right?
yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Andrea pick it up, and Kian pick it up, and it's like, come on, man. You guys are literally the amplification echo chamber because, again, you're in the minority and you're trying to make people believe that so many people are on your side.
It's
So
accuse the other side of that which you were
So
guilty
even
of.
if it were true that this was a
Mm.
coordinated thing among all of the 5 news outlets throughout the entire country that you think lean liberal, out of all of them, because you're
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
you're falling apart because you're claiming that the liberals do or did this one time what you
Mhm.
do every damn day.
And the thing is, it wasn't the Liberals doing anything. It was a CP Wire story that a few papers purchased.
The whole look at this hit job on me and with all these coordinated campaign. That was a coordinated campaign. You were complaining about
Yeah.
a non-liberal coordinated campaign within a coordinated campaign, and you
Well,
think we don't
and
see you?
Poliver always accusing the CP Canadian Press, which is a wire service again, of being under the employ of the CBC, and I'm like, that is not the case. It's an independent, for-profit media company that's been around for, oh God, I don't even know how long.
Canadian Press is the Canadian version of the Associated Press, which is
Yes.
the source you go to when you want the most bare bones fact reporting. That's the thing about the AP. They give you the facts, and then people add in the color.
Yes. No editorialization. There is no editorial.
Unless it's an opinion piece that is clear that they're carrying on their wire service.
Canadian Press is a Canadian national news agency headquartered in Toronto, Ontario, established in 1917 as a vehicle for the Times Canadian newspapers to exchange news and information. 1917. There's 180 people that work there, so it's not a big company. So it's 125 years, is it? What's that, 125 years?
126 years. It was 2017.
106, yeah, sorry. 106 years, yeah.
We can math real good here at the lodge.
I need my math and thing to carry the one.
I see Kit Jake is with us this morning, says, yes. And then he has this long acronym, ATOSOTWYAG, which I have no idea what that means. Painstakingly pronounced as an acronym, painstakingly or lived through because it's both childish and effective. I need to know what that is.
ATOSOTWYAG. ATOSOTWYAG. Wag.
Inform us. Our minds are parched and arid. We need nourishment. Oh, man. All right. Accuse the other side of that which you are
guilty. Yes. That makes sense.
Yes. Absolutely.
Accuse the other side of that which you are guilty.
There
Thank you.
Go.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yep. That's good.
ATOSOTWYAG.
All right. Let's see. What else do we have here?
I have this interesting little graphic. I thought that was an interesting graphic.
Yes. So it's a comic with 8 of the biggest dictators or crooks of all time: Stalin, Mao, Hitler, Castro, Nixon, Putin, Kim, and Trump. It's by DaveGranlund.com, political cartoons. And each one of them is saying one word of an 8-word sentence. And that sentence is, the press is the enemy of the people.
Ends with Trump.
Yep.
Right? I mean, I thought that dovetailed quite nicely into Andrew Scheer's bullshit.
Ooh. Aussie scored the Matilda, so it's 1-1. According to Kit Ellen. There you go. Yeah, that's a good one. I like that one. That cartoon. Okay. I'm looking through the notes. I'm guessing that the big thing that we need to talk about is the CPI numbers, which came out yesterday. Expectation from BMO and CIBC economists was that it would come in at 3.1, up from 2.8. It actually came in at 3.3, which is a little higher than expected. It's making people wonder what the Bank of Canada will do in September 6th, to be precise, whether or not it will raise interest rates again or leave them. People are making a valid case for both. One says, well, the inflation is back up again, so maybe the Bank of Canada will ratchet it up. And other people are saying, well, wait a minute. Unemployment has risen for the last 3 months, only 0.5% together in all the last 3 months, but maybe that's a sign things are working and you can hold off for a bit. So we don't know. The main reason it has gone from 2.8 to 3.3 is energy prices, for the most part. The price of gas has risen over the last little bit. Part of that has to do, as we mentioned yesterday, with the fact that Russia has decreased its production by 500,000 barrels a day, and Saudi Arabia has decreased its production by 1 million barrels a day. This was announced on July 3rd, so for a total of 1.5 million barrels a day. I keep on wanting to say dollars. I did it yesterday too. Barrels per day. So that's moving up the price. Also, as in previous months, of course, because the mortgage rates are up. That's contributing to inflation as well. So mortgage rates and energy are making it rise. Without mortgages, the true CPI is actually 2.4%, but everybody
Oh,
needs a
interesting.
place to live. So, um,
Yeah,
but on
unfortunately.
yes, but on the upside, everybody also needs to eat. And while core inflation for all things went up from 2.8 to 3.3, mostly because of the rising price of energy, food inflation dropped a big drop from 9.1 to 8.5, mostly on the basis of
Well,
more.
that's good.
Yeah, it's the right direction, of course. 8.5 is still high. It's 4 times higher than the
Mhm.
target, Bank of Canada target. But it's, you know, while everybody's turned last time when inflation dropped from whatever it was to 2.8, which was a big drop, there wasn't very much a big drop on food. So everybody was, you know, patting themselves on the back and saying, "Hey, look what a great job we did." So yeah, I understand that, but it's still, you know, food is still at 9.1. Now everybody's going to be looking at this and go, "Oh my God, you got PP already going. Well, just inflation has struck again." And Trudeau told us he had the problem fixed last month. He never said that. Nobody who's remotely serious about this said that, whoa, yes, inflation got to 2.8 once because energy is so low, and that the real core inflation is sort of like about 4.1 or something like that. But hey, 2.8, we hit it once. The problem is solved forever. We won, said no politician ever, ever.
Mm.
Pierre's like literally just lying about that. So Trudeau told us he had the problem fixed last month. Well, turned out that was not true. Mm, PB told us Trudeau told us he had the problem fixed last month. Turned out that was not true, actually. Um, so so yes, with food inflation, it's fruit that has gone down, particularly grapes, down 40%, and baked bakery items that have gone down. So that's those are the things that are mostly responsible in terms of the decrease in food inflation. Um, Now, while all this is going on, um, we have to talk about the electrical grid, and Daniel Smith is, you know, basically trotted out her can't do attitude again. It's like as soon as it's
Christ
mentioned, "Oh my
almighty,
god,
like,
it's unconstitutional, and you can't do this, and you can't do that," and blah blah blah. And I'm sitting there like, blah 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 blah. Sister Alberta, you said it was unconstitutional, and the federal government can't do that, and we're going to fight that. And like this, when it came to same-sex marriage all those years ago, and then
mhm.
you said it again when it came to, I believe it was the carbon tax. And then you brought that all the way to court. And, well, we all know how that worked out for you because now we have a carbon backstop. And then you also said that about Senate reform. For about 10 years, you guys went all around the country saying one man could unilaterally reform and change the Senate to make it triple E. And you brought all that to the Supreme Court and you lost there too. And then you said you could have one of the three justices from the Supreme Court from Quebec not have to be someone who has any knowledge of civil code. And you guys made a nomination of a Supreme Court justice, and that was challenged and brought to the Supreme Court, and you lost. So, Alberta and Daniel Smith, you keep on telling us what you wish the Constitution to say, and you keep on stating it as a fact. This is constitutional. And then you raise money for about 10 years, fleecing mostly grandma and grandpa. Because you charge
Lying
all
to
of
them.
it to us because all those court fees are things that we pay. So you basically bill to us the cost of your promotion and publicity for about a decade, taking a court case that a first year constitutional law student could tell you that you are going to lose. And they could tell you that after about like 3 months of study in constitutional law. You haven't finished first year. And then you take it all the way, you bill us for that, you raise money off it. Those are political donations that are very generously funded by us, again, to the tune of about 60%. and then you end up losing eventually, and then you spend the next 10 years again raising fund on the fact that you lost because you're oppressed. This is the game, this is
Well,
the grift, this is the cycle, this is what you do. So now you're saying that it's like
I haven't.
the federal government has no business doing anything with an electrical grid, and well, we'll fight that, and they have no business regular anyway. Right.
I have an interesting graphic for you here.
Let me just finish this one. So, she goes,
No, no, no.
Ontario's net zero
I'm just.
regulations are unconstitutional, will not be implemented in Alberta. My darling Danielle, yes, they will be implemented in Alberta, and yes, you will implement them in Alberta.
Mhm.
After you scream and kick and waste hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars trying to fight it, but you will do it.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh
she's
yeah.
sitting there and she's yelling and screaming, "Oh my God, it's going to destroy us." It literally is. They're literally asking them
Hmm.
unabated energy. So they've been telling us for the last 17 years, hey, carbon capture and storage, invest in that. It still isn't ready. So had we believed Harper
Hmm.
17 years ago when he first trotted that along, because we literally would have done nothing. Because, well, let's wait for the technology to catch up. Well, you've been saying that for 17 years and it still hasn't, sister. And brother. So,
Well, and let's not forget that Alberta is the most advanced province in the country when it comes to alternative sources of
yes,
energy,
on which
wind and
on which
solar. They were leading the country.
they put a moratorium on approving because they're worried about how they're going to reclaim the lands when they have the issue of reclaiming lands on oil and gas projects already. And never in the history of Alberta has there ever been a moratorium on anything energy while they're
Ever.
waiting to put in or studying new regulations. That has never happened. This is so extraordinary,
Oh yeah, yeah.
right? And she's sitting there like this and she's saying, it will not be implemented. Yeah. Yes, it will. It will. Just like you
Well,
got same-sex marriage, just like you got, you didn't reform the Senate, and just like you have a backstop for carbon tax. Yeah, it will happen.
this is where it plays right into this. Uh, Ontario is adding more fossil fuel power. Saskatchewan flat out rejects Ottawa's goals. In Manitoba, which is already almost 100% clean with its bounty of hydro, the province last week somehow concluded that to clean up the rest of its grid by 2035 is not feasible. The absence of ambition is staggering. The worst, however, may be Alberta, the province with its open power market driven by private investments and Canada's wind and solar leader. Renewables produced 17.3% of Alberta's power in 2022, almost double 4 years earlier. Many more billions of dollars of investments in solar, wind, and energy storage have been proposed. So, what does Alberta do? Last week, it halted development of new solar and wind projects until next winter. The UCP government claims it may need to step in and slow progress because things are happening too fast. The UCP is all for the free market, but it doesn't like what's happening in the free
So it is
market.
intervening in the free market. And here's the thing, right? So if it doubled to
Look,
17, yeah,
I can't make it up. I can't make it
yeah.
up.
So what year again did it double to 2017?
What was it? Last year, from
So
last year.
so 2022.
4 years earlier. Sorry, 4 years earlier.
So
Yeah. Renewables produced 17.3% of
in
Alberta's power in
2022. Okay.
2022, almost double 4
So
years earlier.
2018 it's one thing, and 2022 it doubles to 17%. Let's say it doubles every 4 years. 2026 it doubles to 30
35%.
to about 35%. 2030 it doubles to 75%. 2034, which is before 2035, boom, you've covered it. She's saying it's unfeasible.
I simply can't. I simply can't with these people some days.
Well, that's Danielle. It's like, we want you to do something for the environment. Oh, I simply can't.
I don't.
I
I
can't, I
can't
don't, and I
because
won't.
big oil execs in Alberta are telling her not to, is what it
Yes.
boils down to. I mean, she's as much admitted, of course I listen to big CEOs. They're smart people who run companies. Why wouldn't I listen to them? Because they don't have the interests of the citizenship of the province of Alberta in mind. Their only interest is profit, period. They don't give a flying fig about the citizens.
Nope.
The citizens are there to serve them and put money in their coffers by purchasing their products. That is it.
As we keep on saying, they want you to be mad for a couple of pennies per liter and not
Mhm.
notice that you can't get insurance on your home anymore.
Well, I looked at the pump the other day. I had to put some gas in my car, and I'm like, oh, it jumped by 10 cents. So what? Somebody looked, oh, that's a huge jump. And I go, on 40 liters? It's $4. It's a cup of coffee at a Starbucks. Come on, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. You're buying 40 liters at a time. It adds up. Of course. Of course. I don't buy 40 liters of coffee at a time. Sure. But a cup of coffee still costs more than a liter of gasoline.
Yeah.
And I get it. When you're buying 50, 60, 70 to 100 liters at a time, yes, it adds up. Yes, it gets expensive. I get all of that, but
But again,
let's
controlling
gasoline is cheaper than water.
how much you drive and how much you consume is a conservative principle.
Oh, yes, it is.
You have the power.
Conservation. Well, I mean, I'll be at the pump and I see people pumping gas and they're, geez, I can't believe the price of gas. And they'll go into the corner store and buy a half liter of water for more than what they paid for a liter of gasoline.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Not a 500 ml bottle, a half a liter of
Especially
water.
at a gas station.
It's like $2.50 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Maybe it's $2. I don't know. But it's more than that liter of fuel.
Oh, yeah.
Gasoline is one of the cheapest products that you can buy in liquid form on Earth. Again, I do understand when you're buying hundreds of liters at a time, it does add up. Yes, it's expensive. I'm not questioning any of that. I agree with you. But let's get some focus on it here, folks. Now, I'm eager to see the day when we don't have to do that anymore, when we can rely upon electric cars or hydrogen-powered cars or there's a number of alternative sources out there right now. Electric and hydrogen, I think, are the way to go in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. And there's a lot of talk about that small nuclear reactors.
Mm-hmm. Well, I remember in the 60s, I think it was Ford who designed a car that was supposed to run on the design. It was prototype, and they never, they built a prototype, and it didn't actually have a reactor in it. But the idea was to have it run on nuclear power. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the Batmobile from the 1960s was based on that design of car.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong about that, but I think they took like the prototype, bought it, and changed it and augmented it. But I could be wrong. But I do recall reading an article about a nuclear powered car designed by, I'm pretty sure it was Ford, but it could have been one of the other ones, but I'm pretty sure it was Ford.
Well, on that front, there's been some good news recently. The U.S. scientists have achieved, for the second time now, a net energy gained in a nuclear fusion reaction. So the first time that happened was last December, and the goal of this, of course, is to try to find a near limitless, safe, and clean source of energy. But scientists at the California-based Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory repeated the breakthrough in an experiment in the National Ignition Facility on the 30th of July that produced a higher energy yield than in December. So, again, this technology is probably a certain number of years away, probably even more than a decade. But yeah, they tried the experiment. That's the thing about science, right? You have an experiment. Can you repeat it? Well, they've repeated it, and they got a higher yield this time. So whatever variables they changed this time around, they got the result that they wanted.
Well, this is good.
This is very, very, very promising. For those who don't know, nuclear fusion involves smashing together light elements such as hydrogen to form heavier elements, releasing a huge burst of energy in the process. The approach, which gives rise to the heat and light of the sun and other stars, has been hailed as having huge potential as a sustainable, low-carbon energy source.
Well, and let's remember that also there's the recent discovery of room temperature superconductor.
Oh.
Yes,
Cool.
I was talking with your beloved about that when we were down visiting.
Oh, yes.
They've recreated the experiment, and they're thinking room temperature superconductor. Basically, what that means is maglev trains, as an example, run on their magnetic levitation, but it's on superconductor material. It's super energy efficient, and if they can run it at room temperature, because it usually has to be at like minus 278 degrees Kelvin or something to that effect. I don't have the exact number, but once they can create a room temperature superconductor, that can change everything on Earth. Like literally can change everything on Earth for the better.
Wow. Wow. Basically, you actually prompted a visual.
Oh, I don't know if that is that showing up. I don't know if it's
I would
showing up.
assume, I'm always assuming that the kids can see it right away, even if though we can't. So yes, it's a cartoon that has a maestro, and it says conductor, and then
Let's try it again there.
the second image has only the top half, the chest part
Mhm.
of the maestro, that's called
Semiconductor.
semiconductor, and now the maestro has a cape. He's superconductor.
It is on
I
the
love the
screen, but
hands
it's
on
really
it too.
blurry for some reason. I don't know why.
um,
Superconductor.
but according to the Guardian, when they talk about fusion energy raises the prospect of plentiful clean power. The reactions release no greenhouse gases or radioactive waste byproducts. A single kilogram of fusion fuel, which is made up of heavy forms of hydrogen called deuterium, I think, and tritium, provides as much energy
Deuterium.
as tritium, tritium,
Deuterium.
tritium.
Yeah, but
Sorry,
deuterium and tritium, they're two
deuterium and
different.
tritium. Yes, provides as much energy as 10 meters of 10 million kilograms of fossil fuel, but it has taken 70 years to reach this point. So yeah, you have wireless mic here, kit. Wireless mic, small modular reactors are the way to go. Safe, cheaper to construct, and ability to build a grid.
Well, and this is the thing from Mohan. He says it'll change the way power is produced and distributed. So the superconductor, literally, we lose billions of kilowatts per year transmitting over copper wire right now, like your main backbone energy.
Yep.
So it's just a loss. It's an acceptable loss. We get it. You know that you can transmit it so far, then you have to reamplify the signal. Same thing with telecom, cable TV, for example, or your telephone system. The line can go so far on the backbone, then it has to hit an amplifier before it reaches a cutoff point. Then you amplify the signal and send it further. Now with analog, it was the limits were greater. With digital, you go so far, it's 100% signal, and then you amplify it again. Because if you go beyond that distance, there's no signal with digital; it's on or off.
Right.
Whereas analog, it could get a little snowy, and and then we'd amplify it, but you're amplifying noise. With digital, there's no noise. You get a perfect signal, it hits the amplifier and sends it out again. But with superconductors, you don't need the amplifier.
Ah.
You can just transmit almost forever with zero loss. That's
Mm.
the advantage of fiber optics over copper wire because with fiber optics, you can transmit a lot more data over a piece of glass the thickness of a human hair,
Mm.
in many cases thinner than a human hair. I worked in fiber optics for decades.
Mhm.
Um, you can have, I think, on one fiber optic cable, one strand, like one single strand, the thickness of a human hair, you can have 900,000 simultaneous voice conversations over it. To give you an
Wow.
idea of how much that was, if I don't know what the current data, the current spec is, but that's how much data you can transmit. And all it is, literally, it's a light that flashes because it's a binary signal. So it flashes. It's 100111100, and it flashes. You don't see the flash because the human eye can't detect it. And if you look at it, it'll give you a retinal cancer, but that's another thing altogether.
Mm.
Things you
Ah.
learn when you're working in telecom. Sorry, I'm
Mhm.
geeking out here for a minute, and I apologize. But
That's
yeah,
quite all right. That's quite all right.
with fiber optics, fiber optics changed telecom. That's why we have
Yep.
super high speed in our homes because the backbone is fiber optic, and then they run copper. They call it the last mile, copper to the home. Well, now they're putting fiber into homes,
Mhm.
into buildings. And with a superconductor, it's even beyond that because there's no loss.
Okay. Great.
So,
Wow.
yeah, it's cool. I do have one graphic I want to show you before we have to wind it down. it's a quick graphic, and it's interesting because I am, as I've said a million times, I am not a member of any political party in this country, and I never will be. Never. I vote according to, we have 338 mini elections. We do not elect a prime minister. We elect a parliament. And I vote according to who is the best representative in my riding for member of provincial parliament or member of federal parliament.
Right.
And I vote accordingly. Although, admittedly, I've not voted conservative in a long time because they're not progressive anymore.
Right.
But Green, Liberal, NDP. I even voted for an independent once because I liked what they had to say.
Mm-hmm.
But here's an interesting fact, because I started getting emails from the Conservative Party, and I'm like, what? How? Why are they emailing me? I was getting text messages and emails from them. I'm like, I don't get it.
I could understand I'd be getting them because I bought a membership to vote in the leadership thing.
Mm-hmm. But here's an interesting fact from the Tyee. So let's start it off with the highlighted portion.
Mm-hmm.
If an election is worth winning, then there is someone willing to steal it. Mike Roman, Republican National Committee and Treasurer of the International Democratic Union. The IDU, Stephen Harper's company, and a man who was just indicted.
Yes, and very close relations to Stephen Harper and both Andrew Scheer.
Yes, and Skippy as well, Pierre Poilievre. Yes. Now, here's this. You've seen this text before. Hi, it's Sarah from the Conservative Party. Can the Conservative Party count on your support in the next federal election? Reply yes or no.
Reply, your name's not Sarah.
This text, sent on July 9th at 4:29 p.m., landed on the cell phone of a person not on social media and who does not tweet. Reply yes, and the conversation begins. Reply no, and you go into the Conservative database as a non-supporter. Valuable information for the party either way. The text identified the sender as the Conservative Party. Perfectly legitimate, but how did the party get that cell number? So I've gone into their database because I basically said, no, you're not getting my support. I actually wasn't quite so polite. I was a little bit more vocal in my disdain and distaste for their particular brand of politics.
I simply didn't answer them when they rewrote this time. I didn't say, fuck no, or it was like, or no, the only reason I got it was to vote against your damn stupid leader. I just said nothing. You get no additional data.
Yeah, so
you got my $10 already.
When you get that text, ignore it. If you reply, you're now in the Conservative Party database, which means they're going to send you more texts and they will send you email. And I had to put a block on them and said, stop sending me email, or I will charge you with harassment because you are harassing me. I do not want to hear from you. I don't like your politics. I don't like your brand. I don't want you contacting me. They stopped contacting me after I said that. I told them I would sick my lawyer on them. Yeah, I have a lawyer. Not on retainer, just close personal friend who's happy to help me out when need be, right? And then, of course, we have lawyers here in Crier Media, right?
On retainer.
I don't have anybody on retainer. Come on.
Because we're those kind of people.
No,
we have people on retainer now.
No, I don't have anybody on retainer because I don't have that kind of money.
Will we say never? It looks like in the soccer match that England is going to win after Australia scored in the 63rd minute. England scored again in the 71st and then 86th. So there are now in extra time. So yes, it looks like it will be England versus Spain in the final for the Women's World Cup.
Cool. So I'll be cheering for England then. Yeah. It's a reminder of who Mike Roman is. That's the fella right there. Kind of an angry looking lad. He's American, by the way. He's not Canadian. He's part of the IDU, the International Democratic Union, which there's no democracy there. And follow the money to the IDU and meet Mike Roman. It is unclear who funds the IDU, but the connection to wealthy Republicans known for their financial support of conservative causes is clear. There is one outstanding example. The treasurer of the IDU is Mike Roman of the U.S. Republican Party. Roman is also a former employee of the Koch brothers. According to the New York Times, the billionaire siblings broke up their 25-person opposition research unit in April 2016 as an efficiency measure. According to Politico, Mike Roman ran that operation.
Every time I see a picture of those two Koch brothers, they look like Simpson characters, but in real life.
Yeah.
The big round eyes and the...
it's literally, it's Mr. Burns come to life, right?
Yeah. Jeez. Oh my God. Okay. Excellent, Smithers. Excellent slithers.
Slithers.
Some wildfire update news in
100
Hawaii.
136
We
are burning in Northwest Territories right now.
Yeah, in Hawaii, over 106 people have now been declared dead. 1,300 are still missing. Hawaii's Governor Josh Green is quoted as saying, "As I've shared earlier, the scale of destruction is incredible, so our hearts are broken even a little bit more than when we were together 48 hours ago with the extra fatalities. As you know, that well over 2,200 structures have been destroyed. 86% of them were residential."
Wow.
Um, just about yesterday, only about a quarter of the affected area was searched. Again, the fire was hot enough to melt metal. It was a fire hurricane. Um,
hmm
there's questions about the utility company because the utility company didn't cut the power off as the winds were coming up, which creates additional risk for fire. On the other hand, however, they needed the electricity for the water pumps for the firefighters to be able to put
Yeah,
the fires
so
out
there's
and
a
fight them.
double-edged sword there, right?
Yeah. In addition, because it was a fire hurricane and the fire was moving like at basically forward at a mile a minute or something, or miles, it was moving fast anyway. Some of the communication systems got caught, and a lot of the alerts that were issued did not get to people.
Mm.
So Josh Green, the governor, is already saying that there'll be a investigation and looking into that. But they have
Yeah.
managed with hotels and all that to find temporary lodging for pretty much everyone who's needed it so far.
Well, some of the interviews I've heard from people, I've said, it's going to take decades to repair. I'm like, oh yeah, I've looked. Complete neighborhoods are just razed. There's nothing left.
Yeah,
So
there's
it's,
literally nothing left. And you have
yeah.
these like sort of like nuclear winter pictures of like a whole bunch of cars with
Mhm.
ash all over them, and everything's gray, and it's just, ew, my God.
I got
So
a graphic for you here on what's going on in the Northwest Territories right
yes,
now. That's not good. I mean, you get up to a certain point, and there's no more trees to burn, right?
right,
Fort Good Hope, that's about as northern as you can get. After that, there's no trees. Like, and you can see in that graphic, it shows you the tree line. If you look
yeah,
at Nunavut, there's very, very little in the way of trees. It's all the green in that graphic shows you where the trees are.
yeah.
So you get up to Tuktoyaktuk, there's still some trees up there, but anyway,
Yeah, and if
it's
you're
bad.
looking at the bottom there near the Alberta border, that's where Fort Smith
hmm
and Hay River are. You can
Yeah.
barely see the names of the cities, but they're there, and that's where a lot of the stuff is the South Slave region. They call it
Great
Slave
Slave Lake.
region. Yeah, so there's about 200 wildfires burning throughout the Northwest Territories. Michael Santamores, who's the mayor of the hamlet of Enterprise, Northwest Territories, is quoted as saying between 85% and 95% of the community is gone. It's hard. We're a
Wow.
very close knit community. We're all friends, and it's painful. Only about 7 or 8 homes and 3 or 4 businesses are all that remain of that community. Fireproofing work done in the community saved those buildings, but the fire entered an area where that work was not yet finished. So the town of Enterprise is pretty much gone. In southern British Columbia, they're in a heat dome, I guess, sort of.
Again,
The
yeah.
town of Lytton, again in southern BC, is the first place in the country that achieved a recorded temperature over 40 degrees Celsius this summer, hit 40.5. So they
Well,
are worried.
and remember, folks, for our American friends watching who don't understand the centigrade measurement, 37 degrees Celsius is 98.6. That's body temperature. So when the temperature goes above 37, it's well over 100 degrees.
Yeah, 40.5 is 105 Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
And that's before any heat and humidity.
That's
Um,
just the air temperature period, right? You don't add humidity into it. It's like, oh my God.
yeah, absolutely. So, yeah,
It's
it's
bad.
it's pretty bad. By 4 p.m. Monday, 12 heat records in British Columbia had been broken that day. 8 fell the day before. Um, it, it seems that there's going to be cooler weather coming, but because the cold and the hot fronts are meeting, that creates lightning activity and all that other stuff, which
Mhm.
again could.
More
So
fires.
it's like yay, cooler weather and maybe a little rain, but yes, lightning. Yeah. Okay.
And remember, folks, the Conservative Party of Canada, the delegates vote 54 to 46 against policy change request. Canadian Conservative Party votes not to recognize climate crisis as real.
Exactly.
That's as little as 2 years ago.
Yeah. So about 15% of the population of the Northwest Territories, which is about 7,000 people, are all under evacuation orders. The only road linking Yellowknife to the rest of the territory is closed. Firefighters are trying to establish new fire breaks, but last night the fire was only about 30 kilometers outside of the capital. 5 communities in total are under an evacuation order, and all have lost internet, long distance, and cellular service. Yeah, exactly. Northwest Tel is saying that they can't even assess the damage until the fire dies down. It's just too hot and too smoky. The Premier Carolyn Cochrane is on record saying everyone needs to leave when there's an evacuation order. We can't force you. People have a right. But like I said earlier, you jeopardize the safety of other people and especially the firefighting team when you decide to stay. The territory has spent $30 million this year already on fighting fires, and they say that now they need help. While all this is going on, irony of irony, to put a little buckle on this, to a little bow on this, Daniel Smith, talking about the grid, says, Daniel Smith it. This nonsensical plan by the federal Liberals will strain our family finances. As food and shelter keep getting more expensive, families shouldn't have to bear the burden of skyrocketing power prices, though we are quite fine with them bearing the burden of skyrocketing insurance prices. And this plan will make it more difficult for businesses to break even, let alone survive. Okay, number one, you've already injected so much uncertainty into the business community with what you're doing with the Sovereignty Act, and this is the type of thing that she said that she would use the Sovereignty Act against. Right?
Yeah, all about the free market until the free market does something she disagrees with.
Yes, when the people let the market speak. Oh, the market said something I don't like. Well, we need to shut it up. But while she's saying this, this nonsensical plan by the federal Liberals will strain our family finances. We can't do this grid. It costs way too much. Electricity prices are soaring. Well, in that CPI report yesterday. So literally, she said this the day before the CPI report came out. And I quote from the CPI report. Electricity prices rose significantly in Alberta, increasing by 127.8% in July on a year-over-year basis.
Ouch. That is bad.
The price of electricity in Alberta has risen 127.8% in July on a year-over-year basis. And here she is, the day before that announced, claiming that these energy rules are going to make it so expensive that Albertans can't afford energy when it went up 128% on her watch. Only on the basis of what the province has done.
I can't even.
127.8.
I can't.
And she's just casually laying this at the doorstep of Trudeau. The day before she preemptively frames it. She had the data. She had the embargoed data. Shameless. They will look at you straight in the eye. They will smile and tell you they're on your side and say, we've got you.
While they stab you in the back.
Meanwhile, energy prices went up 128% in a country where the maximum inflation we hit was what, 9?
Yeah.
They're losing their minds over 9.
Yeah.
And expecting you not to notice 127.8%.
I have heard from friends in Alberta how their hydro bill has gone up so much that they can barely afford to pay it right now. Well, and there you go, 127% increase in the month of July alone. Yeah, that's big.
Well, year over year.
Year over year
from July last year.
Right. Okay. Sorry, but still, who can take 100% increase, let alone 127% increase? A 27% increase is huge.
And they're crying about the carbon tax. Which added 14 cents.
Just distraction. Don't look here. Don't look here. Don't look here. Look over there. That's all it is.
They will say anything
Of course they will.
because they hope you don't. Again, we keep on saying, stop voting for people who smile at you as they call you stupid.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Mr. Grizzly, do we have a show?
We do indeed, sir.
All right, kids and cubs, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Podcast. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you and 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 you. Not you over there. You. Actually, all of you.
All of you. All of you.
Kid. I remember seeing a stand-up comic doing that when Dorothy wakes up. I had a dream, and you were there, and you and you and you. Not you.
Not you.
So sharing is caring, and word of mouth is priceless. Let your peeps and poops know about us because you have the beautiful, beautiful, lovely lips from whom we want the word coming. Thank you, Kit, Jake. Great show. And it was so much fun being on yours. Thank you for inviting me yesterday. I had a blast. It's fun to laugh with you. This much Schadenfreude is probably illegal in 17 states, 3 provinces, and 1 territory. But hey, we don't care. If you really like this podcast, you can find us on Crier Media Network as well as all Beaver Grizzly friendly platforms. Stars and reviews are appreciated. Please remember, if you can, to make some donations to the Red Cross. If you happen to have a little extra money jingling in your pockets and you want to help internationally, I'm sure there are some people in Hawaii who could use a donation as well. So think global. I do not know what Yup Beer is.
It's a new sponsor we have, part of the network.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Part of the network, yeah.
Oh, okay.
As is Indestructible, which is a manufacturing company. They make stuff. I looked into all of them. Don't worry.
Wow. Okay. We're earning our keep here.
Well, that's the idea. We got
to. They make stuff.
Well, they did clothes and stuff like that, motorcycle type stuff. And then, of course, Crier Media. And
we're putting a code. Check it out. See what they're doing. We don't know.
Exactly. No, they make clothing for motorcycle accessories, that sort of thing. So and Yup Beer, if you like beer like I do, try Yup Beer.
Well, there you go. Gee,
there's always this.
Yes. Okay, so that's a lot of QR codes if you're watching. You know me, I can't keep much straight. Wink. So
I'm late. Let's go. Hurry up.
Hey, you surprised me. We love to hear from you. Reach us on our Facebook at True North Eager Beaver, our Twitter feed at True Eager, or by email at True North Eager Beer. Now you're making me say beer. True North Eager Beer. True North Eager Beaver at gmail.com. Again, if you go to True North Eager Beer, you're going to get a whole different site. You can subscribe to us via our pod page, thanks to Ray Girl. Podpage.com/the True North Eager Beaver, lowercase letters with a hyphen between each one of those words. And that allows us to slide right into your box when we have something fresh off the bandwidth for you. Why not also subscribe to our True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube channel, because we are captains of industry and that helps us out big time. And holy crap, are you ever? Wow. You just every time I look, there's the number goes up. So thank you so much, whoever's doing it. We really appreciate it.
Shorts bring people in. I know you don't like them, but they bring people in because they alert people. What happens? Shorts just show up on people's phones while they're on YouTube, and it just randomly pops up, and interesting. They might click on it and they join, and we've gained a bunch through the shorts, so it works.
We have kids, Jake LaMountain or La MTN there going, this isn't hardcore Minecraft. Oh boy, this isn't hardcore much of anything, my friend.
That's on the Twitch stream, because we're on a couple of different Twitch streams. So.
We can't do this without your kind and generous support. So if you feel we've done a particularly good show, if you're watching, you can scan the QR code on the top left where Mr. Grizzly's head is there, and that will bring you to our Eager Beaver Lodge Emergency Hydration Fund, where our staff, hot chocolate and coffee and Caesar and Guinness, help us write, produce, and market this show for you. And if you're listening, you can let your fingers do the walking or use your voice command to go to Ko-fi. That's coffee, spelled ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, lowercase letters, all in one word. And that's where you can go to make your donation From the Beaver Lodge, this is your eager beaver saying until next time, dear kids and cubs and peeps and poops. It could be a tough world out there, and Jakes. So please be kind to and gentle with yourself. Mr. Grizzly, words of wisdom.
Yeah, remember to get out there and pound the living hell out of your local MPP in the province of Ontario. We need to let Doug Ford know we are not standing for this corruption. We're going to keep pounding the hell out of him on this. Friday, we have a special guest on our show. Dean has agreed to join the program on Friday. And we're going after Doug. We're going after Doug Ford because this level of corruption that is just rubbing it right in our faces, it's not going to stand. It's not going to. We don't have RICO laws here, but we need to. I mean, come on. Tell me this isn't racketeering. You can't tell me that because it is.
We so need a RICO statute.
We do.
We really do. All right. Mr. Grizzly, please roll them credits, please. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We have the Kits being cheeky in the chat.
Oh, really?
Kit Lindem going, people love your shorts, guys. And then Kit Lane goes, our viewership our subscriptions must be rising because Paul's shorts have been dropping daily.
Is it that?
People love the red Speedo, man. They love the red.
Is it that? How about that?
Have a good day, kitties.
See ya.